think that women are coming to a time in their lives where they're saying, I want this chance. I'm only here for so long. Like, why would I give up all my possibilities because somebody else has a limited thought of me?
Thanks for watching Hot Flashes and Cool Topics podcast. Be sure to subscribe and ring that bell to catch all of our conversations. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Hot Flashes and Cool Topics. Today, we are so excited to have Gabrielle Carteris on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Very excited to be here. Two lovely ladies. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. We were so excited when you said that you'd be able to have this conversation with us because we love talking with women who have had these incredible life stories, and yours is one of them. And so we just happened to be taping right around the 35th anniversary of 90210. What is that like for you to be celebrating that anniversary?
First of all, 35 years is a long time. Long, long time. And I think I'm so surprised. I didn't realize it because I just did a podcast the other day with Darren and Ian talking about that. I was like, you guys, I remember like when we first did this, the auditions. I remember the first read through with everybody. And if I think about it, it feels like yesterday. But when I look at it, it seems like another lifetime. So it's a big marker for me in my life. It's no mistake. I am, where I am now.
I just remember that was something. I was a young mother. And my husband traveled a lot. And that was my thing I believe it was on Wednesday nights. And I can't remember what night exactly.
You would remember, Bridget.
It was on Wednesday. And then there was a time it was on Thursday. So
okay. I would get my son was like not even a year old.
You were a young mom.
I was young, and I would hold him and I would be like, we're going to watch 90210, and then we're going to watch Melrose Place after that. And, that was like my thing. And, I was a young mom. So it was like, oh, I'm getting to live what it was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So it really was. And then it's so surprising to me that you were in your mid to late 20s.
You told a little fib to get
that, but
can you tell that story?
You just must look young. You just must be somebody.
You know what? I have I think I'm not a really tall person. I would say I'm petite, and so I think that, and I think I have kind of like even now when I see myself, the way I talk has I think like a bright sound in it, so it makes me seem younger. And but it's genes. It has nothing to do with anything. Now I look more my age. So I'm 64 now. I'm going to be 65.
I don't think you look.
I don't think you do. But it is. I think there's some people that look the same age their whole life. Like they look like 30 their whole life, or they look 40 when they're
or how about when you see somebody and you see pictures of when they were babies and they look exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
They don't change. It's so true. Can you tell that story though, that you were 29 and you were going on this show of predominantly older teenagers?
Well, they were teenage. I mean, Tori and Brian were, I think, just 15 going on 16.
Wow.
And I was out from New York and I was auditioning for shows, and this was one of the shows that I auditioned for. And I was so freaked out because, you're never supposed to ask somebody their age. No, you never ask somebody their age, right? But at that point, we didn't have IMDb. And I was just so sure that if they knew my real age, because 29 is a lot older than people who are in high school. And then you have Tori and Brian. And so anyway, so I called a lawyer and I said, if I sign these contracts, because I got the job, I said, is it bad if I say I'm just 21, because that makes me legally able to sign my contracts, and, will I get in trouble? He said, no, it's okay. Thank God, because they had no idea. The show was not strong. It didn't have a strong launch. So I think that if they found out during that time or before that, I never would have had that chance to do the show. And then once they found out my age, because of People Magazine, who had somebody who worked in the DMV behind the scenes and revealed, the writer told me exactly what happened. I said, so you broke the law to get my age. And then I'm asking you not to share my age because clearly I will lose my job. And everybody called, my lawyers called and everything. They did it. And But it was okay. It was okay. I mean, the show had just started really to connect, and people were okay with my age. And I think the down the road, it became harder for them because I think it interfered with their ability to make Andrea, between my getting pregnant in real life and being older, it's kind of like I think they would not necessarily say that, but I think it made it harder for them to ultimately to write stuff that I thought was interesting enough to stay and
Mm. So, like your character, I remember in college got pregnant. Was
yeah.
that to go along with your pregnancy, or was that a different storyline?
Yeah, no,
What
I'd
was the?
gone to Aaron Spelling before. My husband and I had talked about wanting to get pregnant, and I thought, I don't want to hide my pregnancy. I really wanted to. I didn't want to be hiding behind books and stuff. I really wanted to be able to own and my pregnancy, and I wanted my child to be able to see how proud I was to carry him or her during that time. So I asked to have lunch with Aaron Spelling, and I went into his office, and I said, Charlie and I would like to get pregnant, and I just want to know if that's okay. And if we do that, I want it not to be hidden. And he was so surprised that I didn't come to say I was pregnant. He said, I cannot believe you're not here telling me you're pregnant, but that you're asking. Of course, I'll support that. It shows you that the truth will set you free. But um, then what happened was he wrote it in, and it became very controversial. There was so many people, like even the Times, New York Times wrote in, we can't believe that the smart girl got pregnant on 90210. And I was like, wow, that's so demeaning. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, nobody said anything about the young guy who was a part of that. And
True.
secondly, that intellect has nothing to do with, we sometimes do things in our lives, and we decide how we're going to be responsible for those choices. That's just the bottom line, and that happens when you're every age. So I thought it was such a terrible message and a terrible statement, and it was all about demonizing Andrea, which really pissed me off. I just thought that was just terrible.
That is terrible. I mean, I felt like it was true to life. Like it was true. These things happen. This happened to people in college all the
Right.
time, even the smart girls. So
Right. And you figure out
yeah,
some kind of way to work through it. You
you
you do what
do.
you
Right.
can.
You do.
Right.
Hmm.
With, when I was preparing for the interview, there's so many stories that I listened to where it seemed like with 90210, it was 1990 and plus, and it was just starting to try to be controversial, but in the safest way humanly possible. So when you say things like, Andrea got pregnant, or you were supposed to date an African American man, or
But
you
not touch him on camera.
right. Can you talk about some of that? Because nowadays it would be like, why was there a problem?
You
90s
have to
weren't that.
remember, just before 90210, everything was like, think about, I mean, Lucille Ball was earlier than that, but like they slept in separate beds as a married
Hmm.
couple, that it was questionable that they should show a woman who was pregnant on camera. So, everything prior to 90210 was very cookie. It was like, milk and cookies. It was like kids did this and they were, yes, mom, no, it was like Leave It to Beaver. It was a very kind of, you know, it was kind of like a fantasy kind of childhood. That's what made 90210 so special. It resonated, like there was honesty to it. And that was why people, I think, really kind of, gravitated towards the show. It was a breakout. It was a phenomenon in its own way. But prior to that, everything had a place, and we still have that in different ways, right? But people who were of different races, they didn't come together, right? We knew it happened, but we didn't show that on primetime television for families, right? We didn't show that people go and make choices sometimes that just don't seem conventional in terms of maybe getting pregnant when you didn't plan it, and being young and in school. It was like, and so even though they were restricted by a lot of the rules of the network. I don't think it was Aaron who didn't want to do it. I just think there were rules about, this is what you're allowed to say. You weren't allowed to swear at the time. There was a time you couldn't even show a woman in a bra, right? That would be an X-rated film. Now TV is all about, intimacy and, I mean, it's so different. So at that time, none of that. There was just boundaries on every state, everything was just supposed to be in its little box. And so when 90210 came out, even though it really did flirt with a lot of the issues, particularly in the beginning, I think it became more expressive through the years. It helped to change the course of television. So it was allowed to be more, salacious in some ways. But in the beginning, it had a structure it had to work under in order to get through the network guards. Like there was a certain thing we couldn't say. So, for instance, um, two things happened on 90210 when I dated. He was such a great guy. Can't think of his name right now, but anyway, but he was a character that I had a relationship with, or Andre had a relationship with, and he was a man of color. And when I went to give him a hug on something, they said, "Oh, they called me from network. You can't touch him." I was like, "That's so, what are you talking about?" And I'm Jewish, and there was his character was identified as Jewish. They did a whole thing on the Holocaust, but I wasn't allowed to wear my Jewish star. And I was like, wow. I said, but all the Christians could wear their crosses. And they said, middle America doesn't want to see it. And I said, then take it off everybody. I mean, like, don't make it about one and not the other. Like, let's be honest about what's going on. And I think that in the same way, because they always just flirted with it, even though Aaron said, yes, it's okay to get pregnant, I think they didn't know what to do with that. I think it was like once they told that story, now it became, oh my God, Andre is going to bring her baby everywhere, and that's not going to allow us to have the stories that there was something about that reality that was a little bit too uncomfortable at that time for them to deal with. Later on, as the characters got older and then they started having deeper relationships and were allowed to, ultimately get pregnant, that was a result of, that moment, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Her character doing that. And when you were talking about all those rules, I was thinking back to all of the things like the first time a toilet flushed on All in the Family. And I remember like Laverne and Shirley, they would say vody do do. They would not say sex or they would
Right.
not say sleep, whatever. And
Right.
how the evolving just has to come along. And I guess, I mean, I don't know, was there like a hard, fast rule? Like I know there used to be codes and things like that, but was there a hard, fast code or was it just something you had to push for at that time?
There were things, it would go through the networks. They would go to look at
Oh,
they had somebody who views everything and would just, I forget the name of that, where they go and they decide if it's acceptable or not. They check everything. So language, there was a time when it was much stricter with language, but they had certain words you could and could not say. When you drive a car, you have to have a seatbelt on. You can't drive in the car without a seatbelt. You have, I mean, and depending on, so they had people who literally would watch and say, you have to cut that.
oh,
You
wow.
have to reshoot that you can't have that. Or people who would look at the scripts prior and say, we're not going to allow that. Now there's so much more. It's because there's so many more ways to access, entertainment. And there's nothing when it comes to the internet, right? The restrictions don't even exist. And then you have cable, and then you had network television, which was the most conservative of the whole
Right.
thing.
As kind of, you were so ahead of the times when you did start 90210. What do you think it would have been like had there been social media during that time?
I don't, I
Or-
can't imagine. I mean, there's two things. It would have either, because because things now happen so quickly
Yeah.
that our show was not successful its first season. So if we had not done well, and if social media demanded success immediately, we may have never gone farther, is one way. Or if there had been social media and we were at that time such a phenomenon, I mean, we really couldn't go in public alone. I think that we would have, I think we would have become recluse because it would have been, I mean, it was already without social media. We were in over 100 countries. We had security wherever we went. So if we had that then without social media and there was success in the show with social media, I don't know if that would have been manageable. I don't, it was barely manageable as it was.
Yeah.
It was.
What was it like doing the reboot?
That was great for me. It's so funny. There was a lot of, when we first started the show, then the network, they divided us a lot. So everybody was there, it was in everybody's, we're going to do this for you. Don't tell anybody. And we were all, is, even though I was 29, I was young and I was young in the business. It was just so, and everybody's telling different things. So we were very separate in those years. And I think that was really, I was closest to the guys, but I was, older and I felt a little separate because, I was married and then I had a baby and all that. So I think there was a lot of, we talk about all the trauma of those years. Is as exciting as it was really a challenging time. This reboot was a real important time for, I know it was for me, and I think it was for the rest of the cast. I know for Jenny, we've talked about it. It was healing for me. It was really fun. And it didn't matter what ended up happening. I mean, I wish that it could have gone longer, but it was great to come and to talk about this. We talked to each other about things we had never talked about. And it was, and we also said we're not going to allow them to pit us against each other. We're here as a team now. And that was really wonderful. And we're all parents now. So that was wild. Like, where there was a real difference between my age and being a mom and them. Suddenly, all of us have children. Some of our kids went to school together. We were going through similar. It was just. It was. I thought it was great. It was really. I had a great time.
Right. And with losing, you all have lost two cast members. And
And
that
more than that, we lost
oh,
actually
that's
four.
oh, okay. And I,
Joey
the
Tata
two.
and
Oh,
Denise, who was the principal of the school, she
oh,
out. She was a lovely woman. And then
oh
we have,
goodness.
yeah, Luke and Shannon.
That's for because we're all about the same age. Like I think Colleen fell in between the ages of the
Yeah.
cast, but that really is, it just kind of, I don't know, it makes you just realize your mortality
Yeah.
and under
35 years have passed.
right. I know. And
Yeah.
like you said, it seems like it was a lifetime ago, but then it seems like it was yesterday. And especially because you can catch it. You can watch the shows again and catch up on what happened with that. And then, you've also taken on, other really big responsibilities, like being the Screen Actors Guild, the president of that. I mean, how was that? How long did you do that? And that had to be really a hard job.
That was a really hard. That was SAG after I helped merge the unions, and as an actor, because it's really members who, like in any union, actually, it's always going to be the people who are the members that make it. So, yeah, I became unexpected. It was not the thing I planned. I had been injured about, I guess, 14 years ago now. I was partially paralyzed shooting a film, and I wasn't able to speak clearly. I was in, treatment for a long time. And at that time is when I got involved with the union in terms of a member supporting the unions. And then I helped to merge our unions, who would have ever thought, like, what do you do with that, right? And then when we did, ultimately becoming the president was, you know what? It was great. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Never expected to take that role on. Such an honor to be able to serve my fellow actors. To fight for their rights. We went through the Harvey Weinstein time and finding ways to protect people and talk about things that we never talked about on sets and outside of sets and auditions, and how do we create protections. That process started during my presidency because nobody had dealt with it before. And now look at the evolution as a result, all the people who we stood together and really took a stance. And so I went through that. That was a hard time. The pandemic was a very hard time and was really a challenge. It was great. I'm really glad it's over. I'm now the president of FIA, which is the International Federation for Actors. It's internationally, I represent, it's like the AFLCIO, which is the American Federation of Labor, is an umbrella for the unions in this country. FIA is the umbrella for performer unions around the world. And that is easier. Being the president of SAG-AFTRA.
I
Oh
can
my
only
goodness.
imagine. What I appreciate so much in this, when we talk to women, we really see patterns where we take something that could be really a negative and kind of pivot into something that's learning and a positive. And I know you were saying that you were injured filming a movie, um, which would be a horrible situation. But then I saw you say somewhere that you leaned into the yes. And you're
Mhm.
so glad you did by saying, okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to serve. And that I think is so powerful for women because they don't, every time we get a little older, we do something, it's, oh, I don't know if I can do anything now. I don't know. Can I take that and what I learned from that and pivot over here? What was that experience of pivoting like for you when you were an actress and then you became injured and then you became president?
I think more reflectively, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. I think, it's so interesting. We talk about women versus men. Men tend to say yes to everything, whether they can do it or not. Doesn't mean that, I don't mean that as a derogatory. I actually mean that as a positive because leadership and certain things, as women, we're always saying, I just want to learn a few more things. But if you can go, once you jump into something, if you have history, of course, you have to have some background, but once you jump in, which men tend to do more with more abandon, that's why you see men in leadership roles that women take longer to get into. Now we're seeing a major shift with women in influential positions. I don't know if that will change because of our, political situation right now and how things might be reshaped on that. But I think that I don't think I realized I didn't do it thinking, oh my God, something big's going to happen. I would say to everybody, and this is what comes from the thing I say to my children is women, with your kids, lean into yes, like say yes to everything. Now I'm saying it's important to say no too. Like I kind of
Right.
live in so much yes that I'm exhausted and I need to say no a little bit more. But I do think that life is it's the unknown. We can't really plan it. When people say, you plan and God laughs, but I think it's even more than that, that we can't really know. We only think we know. And I think that, being older, I think why you hear more women, I think are actually willing. Sometimes they're not because they're afraid, but more women will say, screw it, man. I don't care. I have nothing to lose anymore. I have nothing to lose. This is my life. I'm tired of people telling me what to do or telling me who I am. I think that women are coming to a time in their lives where they're saying, I want this chance. I'm only here for so long. Like, why would I give up all my possibilities because somebody else has a limited thought of me? It's I say that, like out there, I definitely have my demons and it's hard, but I
Right.
talk to myself about it because anyway, so I don't think women necessarily don't do it. I think there are more women doing things now than ever before. We have to be given, access. Access is really is the door. Once that door is open, you have to walk through it. So I say to all women,
Yeah. And, we always take the responsibility. Like men say yes, you said with abandon, because they're probably not as concerned. If they have children, oh, the wife or their mother will take care of these children, or they'll take care of their parents. The mother will, the daughter will take care of the aging parents and things like that. And then the opportunity when it comes along, you're kind of like, I can't take on this. I've got all these other things.
right.
But it's
You have to ask
nice.
for help too,
You
right?
do. You absolutely do. And it's okay to do that. These are so many things that women, I think, are learning. And when they see other women like you do
Mm.
these things, like you're injured, but you said yes to this. I mean, you had a really serious injury and you're
There
doing
was
this.
I think another benefit of this age is that we really don't fear failure. It's a life lesson. We move on. And, women talk to us a lot about, I feel invisible, but we think of that kind of as a superpower because we can do whatever we want. And
right.
nobody's really worried about it. No one's paying attention. So we're like, go for it. Don't be afraid.
Are you so I'm gonna push back. I know
Yeah,
it's messy,
sure.
but I actually believe that we are all afraid. I always say to my kids, you don't fear is something that it, you need to find a way to let it walk by your side. That we don't fear doesn't just because we have fear doesn't mean we can't do something.
Right.
And I think that because people we're not superhero. I mean, I guess maybe I'm speaking for myself. I have a lot of fear. Like, oh my God, if I'm going to go, I've been asked to do a show. Can I memorize the lines? Do I want to do this show? Like I have fear. Am I doing the right choices with my kids sometimes? Or I have fear. I don't think that fear is a terrible thing. Fear is uncomfortable, but I don't think with my aging that it's that I don't have fear. It's that I know that fear doesn't mean that I can't do. And I guess that's what I would urge don't wait for your fear to go. Sometimes just by doing, your fear will dissipate. It's just that our brains that's how, so I'm pushing back on that because I'm doing.
No, and when I say fear of failure, I don't mean you don't feel the fear, but you don't
Right.
really care if you fail. Like if you'd be afraid, do it anyway, and
Right.
if it didn't work out, that's
It
okay.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I don't,
doesn't.
maybe don't
Yeah,
consider it a failure.
right. Like
I don't consider it a, like,
right.
okay, well, that didn't work. So I'm
Right.
going to
And I
do,
definitely agree
yeah,
with you because, our children are watching, even though they're adults. And when they see us nervous or anxious or fearful and we do it anyway, they say, okay, well, they're trying. It's never too late to try something new. So I agree with you on that, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I was just thinking in terms of whether it works or not,
Right.
right.
the
Failure.
bottom line.
Hmm.
So on the line of fear, I know you had stage fright pretty
I
bad when
still
you were
do.
young. Really? How have you worked that
And
through your career?
I just suck it up, man. I'm not kidding. I've been offered a show right now, and I'm literally like, I don't know. Can I memorize the lines? I don't know if this is the right thing. Is this really what I want to do? Like, oh, yes, I want it. I mean, I am telling you, I am just right now in the midst of like fear.
Hmm.
And so how do I don't know. I think each time talk about it, right? Talk about it. Don't isolate from it. And that's hard for me because I'm the person who's always fixing everything. So for me to say, I am vulnerable right now. I need support. I need advice. I need to be able to cry. I need to be able to question. I need your help is very hard for me. It is very hard for me. But the way I get through it is truly just like I'm doing with you. I about it. I honest to God, and I'm not great at it, but that's my biggest challenge, and it's the biggest thing I try to. My success only comes when I'm really, really honest. Every time I'm not honest, I get hurt. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I mean, I understand that because when you don't feel like you're honest and true to yourself, it's not authentic and
mm,
it's not coming through. And it's, when you say stage fright every time, like that's why I make Colleen do the intros. I'm like,
Still,
you go ahead and you do them, Colleen. And she's so good on her feet. And
no, but
when
like you
we
said,
do
I
an event,
still get a nervous, like when we're
yeah,
up on stage, I'm still like, oh God, am I going to
yeah.
forget what I
When we
need?
do an event, I'm like, I want my notes. And
right, right.
yeah, and she's
But
just
look how
like,
good you are. But you would never know unless you just keep walking
you
through your
got to do it.
fear. You just got to
Right.
walk
Right.
through your fear. Let it be there. Say hello.
Yeah.
And thank
And I
you.
think talking about it puts it out there
Yeah.
that you're
Right.
sharing it and it puts it out. When you internalize it, it makes it worse.
Oh my
It just,
God.
and I used to internalize it all the time, like try to act like nothing's wrong with me. No,
When I
everything
did
is
my
great.
TED Talks, I was
Right.
so nervous, and this is honest to God truth. I started to hyperventilate. I was with somebody who I work with. I got on my knees. I was like, she said, Gabrielle, should I say that you can't do this? And I said, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And I had to literally go outside. And I have to, that Holly Hunter, I don't know if you ever saw broadcast news,
Yes.
but so she cries before each thing, like cries, and then she's like, okay, that's me. I have to literally sob, let out all that tension, and then move forward. But I have to tell you, until I started speaking, I thought I'm gonna pass, like right here, I'm gonna pass out. Who's gonna catch me? I hate it.
Wow.
It's
Mhm.
really tough. And it's tougher as I get older, not easier.
Oh, really? That's
Mm.
interesting. But you keep doing it. So, you
You
know
keep
what?
Because
doing
I
it.
think that I can't let that be the thing. I can't make my world small. I can't allow it to make me small. I want my life to be my choice. I don't want it to be, it's really, I say that with real hope, I do it only because the alternative for me is not living. And I really have to be able to go through it. I wish I could do it more joyfully, and not be so, then that's what I'm working on. This whole year will be about finding ways to be more joyful and less fearful about doing certain things. Because once I do it, I'm like, God, I can't believe I did that. Like, oh my
Right.
God, right? So
Right.
I'd like the process to be as fun as the after, like relief.
Right. Yeah. Like the sense of dread before. And I do that with things too. Like I'm like, oh no, I wish I didn't commit to this. Why did I say I was going to do that? And then once I've done it, I'm like, well, I'm so glad I did that. And then when
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to something, I build it up so big that I'm disappointed. And I'm like,
right.
I got to get it
Mm.
together. I don't know. Yeah.
That's like our life journey, right? It's
Yeah, it
just,
is. Yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
it doesn't end just because we get older. There's still
No.
lots of challenges that we can look for. I did. So you were married the same year I was, 92, and Bridget was married in 91. So we're all married 30 years plus. And I saw somewhere where you said that you're so happy that you're boring, which I so related to because I don't think that's a negative thing. They're like, oh, you've been married a long time, you're boring. I'm like, no, we're content. We're happy. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, you know what, I definitely, Charlie is my mate. So for me, it is a comfort. I do feel so fortunate. I say I'm boring, not to me.
Right.
Sometimes I would like go out and do something, but no, but not to me. But I think other people looking in, we're not partiers. Like that's just not our vibe. And it's, so they might say, oh, because we don't go out getting drunk and whatever. It's just not our thing. But I don't think that we're boring. I think that we're living in our lives, and we have friends who are living similar lives, so we share in that. And but yes, I definitely not, it does sound boring if I were to talk about some of the things. I love it, so it doesn't matter,
No, we get it.
We
We
get it.
get it.
We do. We're together on New Year's Eve with a few of our friends
Yeah.
around where we live, and then we're like, well, we'll be at our houses ringing in the new year on
Right.
our couch in our pajamas.
About
Yes.
10:30.
Yeah.
There you
Oh
10:30.
my
go.
God.
Happy New
Yeah.
Year in a little while.
Have
Bye.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on. Don't
exactly.
you want to watch the ball drop? No,
Right.
No.
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
I'll be
I'll watch
laying
it
on the
on
couch.
replay.
Right. We'll see it 50 times the next day. So
Right.
that's,
That's okay.
but I got what you were saying. You didn't mean boring in like from the outside in. You meant you're just very content and
Yeah.
very happy. And I think that that is such a gift. Like
I'm,
Bridget and I always we don't take it for granted that
no,
Right.
we've been married
that's
this long.
beautiful. How
Mhm.
great for you guys. I mean, that I'm so happy for you that you don't, because it's so, I know so many people who will go and say, oh, you know, so my husband or my wife doesn't do this, doesn't do that. And sometimes I say, I don't know, are you just unhappy and blaming it on them? Because it could be that, but I don't know. I think sometimes there's a lot of projection in our relationship. So I think if you're in a good place, you're not with somebody who's abusive, and you can, enjoy each other. I mean, there's a lot of things I know that make it happen, but if you can be there and really appreciate it, life is short.
Right.
I'm glad for you. I'm glad
Well,
for
And
me.
you
we're glad
too.
for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you travel a lot with your husband?
Well, we just got back. We were just in Italy. I travel a lot. Like I'm almost once a month right now. I'm leaving next week. I go to Brussels the week after. A couple weeks after that, I go to the UK because of my, because of 90210. I do some appearances, but I also, because of my presidency. So we travel. We're together every weekend, but I travel, like right now I'm traveling a lot. I try to travel only within like a week's time if I travel. But we do it now, the last couple of years, a big trip together, which is great. And then, but I have to be honest, my happiest stuff with Charlie is just to be at home. Like I love to go, I love staycations. Those are really fun for me. I love to go away just for the night, right? Not far from here, at a great hotel, have a great dinner or massage, and just fun. I love doing that. And then otherwise, like yesterday was my husband's birthday. So, honey, do you want to go
Happy
for dinner? We
birthday.
did a dinner with friends the other night, but I said, what do you want to do tonight? He said, I'd really like you to cook. And because I cooked for us, dinner. And I said, you sure that's what you want me to do? You want me to cook you dinner? And he said, yes. And he told me his favorite meal. I mean, so yes, we kind of, we do travel, but we really enjoy just being together in our home too. Like just, there's nothing, I'm a little bit of Dorothy. There's no place like home. So
Right.
I travel a lot. This next year, I don't want to travel as much as I travel. Uh,
Yeah. How long does
that's-
this term last for you, this presidency?
this is going to be 4 more years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Going, and I always wonder too, just I don't know a lot about the entertainment industry, but all this stuff going on talking about tariffs on
International movies.
movies and
Yeah.
things
Yeah, but
like
it's
that.
not tariffs apparently. So look, it hasn't been fully fleshed out, but apparently it's not that it sounds like that. It's not tariffs like that. It's tariffs when all the production and everything takes place somewhere else and then they're coming here. We can go to work someplace else, or it can be American companies that, which a lot of the films you see are joint ventures. This is how I understand it, but they're talking about purely foreign projects that have nothing to do with the United States or the performer, anything with the United States coming here, and then they want to pay. That's what I understand it to be. So
Okay.
it's been finalized, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't look, I have a thing about the tariffs, period. I'm concerned about them, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's been really fully sussed out what these tariffs mean.
Okay. Well, that's comforting to know
Right.
that part, because it's concerning. It's just
I know.
concerning for everybody. I mean, I feel like the entertainment industry has been through so much.
Right. And then
Yeah.
the
This
strikes a couple of years ago.
COVID strikes,
We had
yeah.
everything, and then we have AI, which
Yes.
Right.
our
Yes.
industry is the really one of the first really hit where you can see replacement of the work, and it is devastating. The whole industry is changing. There's some great things because there's more ability for people to create without having to look at financing from big studios, because that's a really big thing. You can do it on a small budget, and there's so many ways that you can go and share your content. So that's great. But on the other side, nobody will make the kind of living, very few that we were fortunate enough to be able to make. Many of us were able to make, 30.
Hmm.
It's just different.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing out lately about the AI actress trying to get an agent, I
Oh,
think that was
I hadn't
insane.
heard of
You
that.
hadn't heard that? It
No.
oh,
was
just
like,
so many there's terrible things going on. I mean, I could get really deep into it because I do a lot of work that was one of the things when I was the president of SAG AFTRA. I did a lot of work with the development of technology and AI, but there's a lot of things going on out there. It's going to be you guys, our world in the next 5 years is going to be a very different world. Even the work you're doing right now is going to be,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
No, we
Mhm.
know that. And it's scary for our kids
yeah. Well, they
because
really, yeah.
Mhm.
you wonder about careers and what's going to happen with them. Do either of your daughters, are they in the industry?
My one daughter, I have one daughter who's in New York. She's a painter and she's doing really well right now. So I'm happy for her. And my other daughter is actually in graduate school to become a therapist, family and
Mm.
marriage counselor. I'm very happy for her. I think that the world needs therapy right now.
Oh,
And I
yes.
think that art will be, but it's at one time, my younger daughter, she's a beautiful singer. She had been on American Idol, actually. She had made it to Hollywood, and she's a beautiful voice. But she wanted to do that. I was like, "Do you not see how hard this industry is? I'm your mom. Like, I represent recording artists, and this was the time of my presidency. I was like, anything you want, I want you to do in this world. But this is a hard job,
Yeah.
Right.
It's
changing so much. So I'm
uh
I'm glad they're not doing that right now. But yeah, no.
mhm.
No. And I'll tell you what's hard for our kids, and your kids are in their 20s then,
Our
right?
our mine are
Yeah.
in their 30s. My
And I have
daughter just
30
turned
and
30.
27.
30
Right.
and 32. Right.
So Molly is 26 and Kelsey's 31. So pretty much the
Same.
20s. I was just listening to something the other day. You know how you say you have your whole life ahead of you, or these should be the best years of your life. These are actually the hardest years. The 20s, particularly now coming out of a pandemic with technology the way it is, what's going on with what's available because of everything changing in our everything. This is maybe one of the scariest times for young people. And I think that we need to give them a little grace. And there's a whole thing about, I've really like soul searched on, when I grew up, when you got out of school, you got a job and you did whatever. And our younger is living here at home. She'd like to move out, but I don't think that's bad. I used to think, well, why she has to go out but I think other cultures actually embrace their youth until they, start a family. And I think we need to do more of that. I think I would love to see more family together because I think, we're aging.
Right.
Aging society. So we want to take care of the, the older people. I think we want to make sure to keep remembering that the young people need us, and we should take care of each other. I think
Right.
it's
We need to
Right.
stop passing so much judgment on them because it is a different time. I mean,
very
the
much
cost of living and the
Insane.
wages haven't gone up with the cost of living, and it is
and
so
we want
hard.
to
And
make it go lower, and you're like, really? Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. It's just,
I think it's
I want to give
whatever
them grace.
works for
Yes,
your
yes,
family. Like
I
people say,
agree.
oh, well, you should be out. Well, what 26 or 7 look like to us is not what it looks
It's
like
a
to
different
them.
world. It is such a different world. And yeah, I think that it's a good reminder as the world is where it is, what we can do to make it better. That's a
right.
good way to do it.
Mhm.
So you're still acting. You might have a show coming up.
We'll
Is
see.
that knock wood? Is there anything else in your sights for the next couple of years that you're looking forward to?
A little less anxiety. No,
There's
you know what?
medication for that.
Can't do really that all the time. You know what? Right now, that's the big thing for me. And then I think I'd like to go back to school. I really
Cool.
want to. I have a very strong community of people in my life, but I think I want to go and explore bringing them with me, but broadening it. I don't know. I am definitely feeling ready, like I am about to come into a change, and I'm kind of
Okay.
excited. So I'm not sure what that is. In fact, when I'm saying it to you, I'm getting excited, which makes
Yeah,
me
I
just
can.
so happy.
Well,
Yeah,
you can see that your face just
Yes,
lit up
yes,
because it's
yeah.
yeah.
like you're like formulating a plan. You're like,
And
I don't
it's
know. I just feel like a plan is about to happen in my life. It's
oh,
really
that's
interesting.
awesome.
that's so
Yeah.
exciting. And we've heard
Oh,
people that do that, that go back. Helen Slater,
yeah.
got her
Yes, got her
PhD.
PhD at
Yeah.
It's so
60.
amazing. And
Yeah.
it's encouraging when you see somebody do that. You're like, I could do that too. Like if that's something you really
I'm not
felt
going for my
passionate.
PhD.
Yeah. But when you see someone say, I
Yeah.
think I'm going to do this, and then you're like, well, I could do something too. I could do
Well,
Yeah.
that.
sometimes the little whispers that were there start to get louder, and
Right.
like you're like, oh wait, I have time now to actually focus on a
Yes.
few things that I wanted to
How
do. So
lucky, right? How great.
Yes. Right.
definitely a privilege. But well, we
Yeah.
wish you the best of luck with whatever that is. Please come back and
Yeah.
tell us about it.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
you guys do well. I hope your kids do great.
Oh, you
Congratulations
too.
on being a
She's going to
grandmother.
be a
I
grandmother.
am
I know.
beyond.
Can't
I'm
believe it.
beyond.
I'm so
Bridget
happy for you.
Bridget is so sick of hearing me
Oh,
talk.
I'm not. I am not. If the day ever happens to me,
It
I will
will.
pay you back. So,
There you go. And I will happily listen. But we wish you the best of luck.
Oh, thank
Thank you
you.
so much
Thank
for
you
coming
guys.
on.
And bless
thank
you.
you.
Take care.